Greetings, fellow nerds, and welcome back to Second Cup. I'm your host, Tim Heller. My guest for this episode is my friend across the northern border, Aiden Dawn. Aiden is a Toronto-based video game-loving voiceover nerd who also happens to be a professional voiceover actor. Sounds a little bit like a certain podcast host I know. Now it's time to top off your beverage, get comfy, and enjoy this episode of Second Cup with my friend Aiden Dawn. Aiden!
Hello, Tim. I'm so sorry about that.
It is so fine. It is all part of working and being remote in this time with people all around the world. So it is totally fine. How are you this morning?
I'm good. It's a Monday, right? So you're like just trying to get all the things that you had on your list from Friday.
And get it all translated, and then all the new stuff that creeps into your brain on the weekend. And
Yes. Yeah.
That's
How
great.
Are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. I'm just got a couple conversations this morning, and Monday is kind of like a hybrid kind of off day ish. It's my wife's like one of our only days off together. And so I like try to keep work at bay a little bit, but inevitably there's stuff that comes up. So just enjoying a nice, slower, kind of gloomy day here in Texas. It's like a perfect tomato soup and grilled cheese day. So I think that might be the move later on.
I did avocado toast this morning with like tahini eggs, and it was like kind of the best combination.
Dirty. Yes, absolutely the move. That's awesome. Yeah. And where are you joining in from?
So I'm from Toronto, Canada. Yeah.
Oh, no way. That's amazing.
Yeah, way up north.
Oh yeah, I'm from the south of Canada, right? But it's I'm from Chicago originally, so it's a little bit not used to the heat here quite yet, but yeah, thank you so much for jumping on and taking the time to sign up and be a part of this. I'm really excited to meet you, and we have a lot of parallels between pivoting from musical theater into voiceover and all of this stuff. So for me and for the listeners, I'd love to get just a quick intro on like who you are, what you do. We know you're in Toronto and crushing it in voiceover, but just give me a little like quick sip on who Aiden is.
So I majored in musical theater, and I enjoyed that, but I always think like growing up I was like obsessed with cartoons, and I had an anime phase. I still like and like respect anime, but I'm more for like, I don't know, straight animated series. I don't know.
Yeah.
A little more into that these days, but I love that through acting we can kind of help each other feel or process things that we don't necessarily get to do in our everyday lives. And I think that across the board, theater, film, voiceover, you can accomplish that, but this is like my happy space. So yeah. And I'm also a singer. So yeah.
Oh, amazing. So how did you end up finding your way into the voiceover world?
Well, in high school, I was like one of those media team kids who was like always doing the background stuff. So I did the playlists for the school dances, and I like programmed the TV, and so I was a little in the tech side of things.
Awesome.
Yeah, right. Like, so fun. And then when I finished my music theater performance program in college, I was like, okay, it's time to build a booth. So I worked towards doing that, and took classes, and I had one friend who recommended to me, I hate to say it, but she recommended Fiverr. And
that's all right.
I got started there, and
yeah,
learned a lot fast.
And for people listening who hear Fiverr and are like, oh, I've been wanting to do that, or for the people who are like, how dare you? It's like, I know some people who are, who work a lot and who are becoming more and more well known in our industry and other industries, who have a profile on Fiverr, but they're not charging $5. They're using it for visibility, and they're using it in really creative ways that have made me even think like, oh, I might do that just for the extra eyes on my website. But
Yeah.
neither here nor there. No judgment. This is a safe space.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah. But yeah, that's kind of how I got started. Yeah.
And what were some of the classes that you took, and how did you find those? Because you said that it was right around, or in your bio, you said that it was closer to shutdown that you really got started in everything. So how did you navigate that pivot, and what were some of the classes that you sought out to get started and really get that a deeper knowledge base?
Yeah. Well, in my final year of college, I was like asking for recommendations from my teachers and like who I might be able to reach out to that could kind of, give me the info I was seeking about the voiceover world. I found out it was tough. Like pre-pandemic, it was tough to find like people who were, I don't know, willing to talk to me in at least the area that I was in. And I had trouble, but then I found like LinkedIn, and I did some Google searching, and I found KH Casting, which Kim Herden, she's up here in Toronto, and she's fantastic. I got to read for her at VO North. I was like, oh my gosh. But like, yeah, there's KH Casting, and they have like On the Mic, which is like a voiceover school. Like, they're fantastic. I've taken and am still taking some weekly workouts with the voiceover gurus, which is Linda Bruno and JJ Wilson.
Awesome.
And Alyssa Jason. They're fantastic. But yeah, just like keeping up that training. I took film acting classes too, so that really kind of helped to round me out, I think.
Yeah, for sure. And something that when people come to me and ask like what they can do to get started in voiceover and start building a career or a side hustle, whatever they want it to be, is that training side. And if you are an actor already, you have, even if it's just like, not to belittle it at all, but if it's not a degree in acting, but you are taking improv classes or even singing classes, it helps so much. Just direct ability, trusting your instincts, knowledge of your instrument, the singing side. I used to sing a lot more often than I do now, but just having that kind of a background really helps with being able to navigate things helpfully and know what's sustainable. That's so cool. And so how do you mentioned LinkedIn. How, because this is something that I'm passionate about is actors and creatives being on LinkedIn, because those are the people that are hiring us more times than not. And how did you navigate setting that up and really finding LinkedIn as a solid platform for your business? Because I know there's a lot of resistance with some folks around it.
Yeah. I mean, I think everyone has a different way of how they approach it. Some people are like really like, I don't add voice actors on there. I don't want to connect with them. I want to only connect with professionals. Some people are in the middle like me. And then some people are on the flip side where they're like, oh, you have to always like reach out to voice actors because they can give you opportunities and things like that. And I mean, to a certain degree, if you make friends and the opportunity arises, but like, I don't necessarily believe in just marketing myself in a sense of like, here's what I do, hire me, like I want to make a connection. And I think LinkedIn is a beautiful place to do that, because for the voice actor side, if you're honest about what you're doing and what you enjoy, like I found I grew really quickly just sharing literal covers of songs that I enjoyed at the time. Like I think I did one for Heart of Glass when Miley Cyrus's version came out, and I just took the instrumental and did one because I was like, this is such a killer song. And the feedback is awesome when you're doing something that makes you happy. So yeah, I don't know, marketing myself in that way kind of got me a little bit of exposure. And then, I think just when you find clients that you want to work with and you engage in their content and just show that you're interested because it's something that matters to you, I think that goes a lot farther than just hire me.
I 100% agree. And for anybody listening, I encourage you to do that if that's what feels genuine to you, or if you feel called to it, because there is value in those cold marketing emails and the DMs. And I've done a lot of that in the past and hated every second of it. Not every second, but most seconds of it. And it's like, for me, it felt super cringe and like really disingenuous to myself. And so that slow burn method is just that, like you were showing yourself and then you were also genuinely interacting instead of, I don't know if you've seen this on LinkedIn or gotten it from other people who are voice actors, but I've gotten messages from people after like a request to connect on there, and it's a voice actor connecting with me, a voice actor, saying, "Hey, give me a job."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Oh, hey, whoa, buy me dinner first." But like, it's, I'm like, this is, I try to give as much grace as possible and say like, this is, totally understand that, good for you for hustling, but this is just, in my opinion, maybe not the way to go about it, because I got to know you and trust you and know that, like, before I recommend you to a client of mine for a job.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I had one, and this isn't LinkedIn, but it's Twitter. Like, I found that that's a good place for voice actors and casting calls and stuff too. It's a lot, like, very public. But I connected probably 6 months ago, I want to say, with a casting director. And I liked his vibe. Like, I liked that he, also showed an active interest in video games, and he was casting for video games. And he was just very like myself, and showing how passionate he was online and being like, oh, this is so cool, like, look at this thing that's coming out. And I engaged with that content. He made a casting call asking for something that I wasn't exactly right for. Like, I think he was like full ACTRA members. I was an ACTRA apprentice at the time.
Okay.
So I was like, listen, I'm not full ACTRA, but here's my demo for future if you should consider me, and he did. And he started sending me auditions, and we continued to connect on Twitter and be friends. And eventually I got cast. So last week I went in and I did a session for a game that's going to be really cool. So
hell yeah, congratulations.
Thanks. But we made a genuine connection, and we became friends. And it's not to say you have to become friends with everyone.
Yeah.
But just enjoy people.
Yeah, enjoy people. Be curious and put yourself out there. Come on Strangers podcasts, right?
Yeah, I was like, I want to get to know you.
And I've loved that aspect of this. Is like, it's, when you look at this on paper, it could be called networking, right? Like, this is, but it's such like a word, but it is like it is, right? Because now I know you, and now I know like your studio situation, and that you sound amazing, and I've seen your
thanks.
website. You've sent me your website, you've sent me all this stuff, and now I know like, oh, I feel like I could trust like tossing some like client projects towards Aiden when they come up, or like just like having another person that's like sweet and not a jerk in the industry that is like good to know, right? It's so neat when people aren't a dick. But luckily in our industry, that's more often than not that everyone is like really, really kind and generous with their time and knowledge. Mm-hmm. But you mentioned ACTRA, and I'd love to hear, simply because like I am non-union across the board. I am waiting for SAG to call and be like, you have to join, because I've definitely done enough jobs for them to come after me, but they haven't yet. So I don't know what that is. But for all of our U.S. listeners and our curious Canadian listeners too, like, what does that process look like of being in ACTRA, and what is the status that you have for your business now, and why?
So it's a big, tough conversation right now, because with ACTRA, there's first of all, there's a commercial lockout right now. Commercial work is not coming to union members in Canada for, like on camera or voiceover. It's like across the board. There are a few in there, but essentially a big union busting lawyer came in from the UK and is trying to stir things up, and there's a whole bunch along with it. But the talk is that ACTRA for a long time asked for really high rates and had really high expectations as a baseline. And I mean, we all want our unions to represent us well. Yeah. But I think what it has created at this point, and this is just my perspective, everyone's going to have a different one.
Yep.
But what it's created is not enough work for its members, and it's created a space where its members don't feel supported. So some of them are leaving. And again, this is not to say that I'm against unions, because I wanted so badly when I joined, and when I was earlier in my career and didn't really realize, like, I spent a year in the union. I lost all my clients because I'm a rule follower. Like, I know people that will go under a different name or whatever.
Yeah.
I was like, no,
I'm similar to you. I feel like that, like, trying to hide it, I would just get like physically ill and just start throwing up, being like, my name is Scott Park. I don't know.
Yeah. You're like, that's totally. I'm following the rules. That's kind of, yeah. I couldn't do it, so I had to step back. Because I was like, I want to be able to work within the U.S. too. And as an apprentice, I was. For those who don't know, when you're an ACTRA apprentice, it's almost like being SAG-E, but not quite the same. Like, so you can do as many as you want until you become an apprentice, and then you have to have 3 credits in order to become a full ACTRA member.
And SAG is the American Screen Actors
Yeah.
Guild, and SAG-E is SAG eligible for those not in the biz.
Yes, sorry.
No, it's all good.
But yeah, so when you become an actor apprentice, there are some people like the one posting that I just talked about of this casting director. He was looking for full ACTRA members, and sometimes people will be looking for full ACTRA members. So there have been a couple times when I was an ACTRA apprentice that I wasn't even eligible for some ACTRA jobs, and I was also locked out of joining SAG because I wasn't a full ACTRA member. It translates across. If you are full ACTRA, you can become full SAG, but you can't, as an apprentice, become like SAG eligible or anything like that. So I was like, I guess I'm technically non-union in the US, but ACTRA also says you cannot work anywhere non-union. So they technically don't have jurisdiction, but I have heard stories of people who've been in the U.S. working and have done a job that's non-union, and ACTRA found out, and it was a big thing. So I was like, I just can't. I lost all my clients for a year.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And I just can't justify that as a professional voice actor.
No, and it's like a
can't
business-minded person. It's like, oh, I'm going to be in the union that's not really fighting for me to find work, and I'm going to like be poor because it's a team effort. It's like, no, we need to we need to secure the bag. Like,
yeah.
Or like we say in the North, we need to secure the bag.
Yes, we do. But yeah, it was. So I'm hoping that eventually things will get better with ACTRA, but as of now, I have left. I am non-union,
Okay.
and I have talked to a lot of people who are like, I've been non-union for years, and I'm doing really well. And I mean, I just booked a national spot, my first national spot for
Congratulations.
So yeah, you might see that because it's gonna be in the U.S.
That's amazing. I can't wait.
Yeah, but like
it's interesting to hear the parallels between the Canadian and U.S. unions with that. As I'm sure you're aware with everything that's been going on here, and I'm not somebody necessarily who has like been in voiceover for the longest time. It's been, I think, at the end of this month, it'll be 5 years. So coming up on 5 years since like my first voiceover class. Thanks. It's crazy to think about. Some ways it feels like it's been a lot longer, in other ways it feels like I just started. But that's something that when I first started, I was so gung-ho. I want to join the union. I want to get my health care. I want to just like do it and do it the right way, follow all the rules, and be like union, like part of something. But then the closer I got to it and the longer you're in it, you start to see a little bit more about how the sausage is made, and that they really, from a voiceover standpoint, a lot of people are really upset because they have not grown with the rise of pay-to-plays, of digital media, and making sure that coverage and usage and pay and session time is properly compensated, and have really like drug their knuckles on it. And there are, and tell me if you have not experienced this or have, but in Facebook groups and forums and people talking about stuff online about like, you know why I don't understand why everybody's non-union. You're stealing jobs from people. It's like, it's that same thing. It's like, no, we got to secure the bag, and people are leaving SAG or just like and letting things go. Same thing with Actors Equity. When COVID happened, they did not take care of their members. And this is not, again, this is not in any way trying to say don't join these unions or that they are inherently bad, because they do a lot of good. But there's just some issues that it seems like it's taking a long time to reconcile.
Yeah.
And it's frustrating because there's the more old school mindset of like everything's black and white, and coming up with now there's so much in between to be
Yeah.
navigated, and there is space for everybody. So it'll be interesting to see how things continue to develop
Yeah.
as we move forward. So are you able to work SAG jobs then now too, and until SAG is like, hey, because at least with SAG you can go FICOR, which is allows you to, for those who don't know, is when you join SAG, they have a clause where you can go FICOR, which just means that you are able to work non-union jobs because there aren't sufficient number of union jobs available so that you can support your family. And I think you just lose voting rights within the union.
On the council. Yeah, like it's not
Yeah.
like, yeah. And
For
I've
me,
done a lot
personally,
of research
not that
on
most important. Yeah. So
Yeah.
what is your status with SAG and kind of your views on that going forward? And this is not, I don't mean views like what politically on the whole the system as a whole. I just think it's valuable for people to hear different experiences with unions versus not union versus a mix of the two.
Well, I don't know. On that point, like, I think, first of all, acting is just like not like any other career path in the sense that, like, we don't come to a job 9 to 5 and get paid for those hours, right? Like, so
yeah, you
having
can't. A union can't guarantee work.
Yeah, and being a part of one, like, it doesn't guarantee you anything. Neither does being a part of an agency. So, like, yeah, I would definitely work SAG jobs if I had that option presented to me. I'm on a couple rosters now, but, like, I'm not represented by a U.S. agent yet, that's what we're working on next, knocking on
Yes, U.S. agents, she's looking for you.
Yes. But, yeah, I love the fact that FICOR is a thing. And I wish that they offered that in Canada, which is something that a lot of voice actors especially ask about, because it seems that, like, within Canada, they're really more focused and geared towards the film industry and the commercial industry and just, like, on camera in general. And voice actors kind of are like, hi, and they're like,
we're over here. What's up?
So, yeah. But yeah, I would definitely work a SAG job if the opportunity were presented.
And so within that realm of work is, how have you, I mean, you've got not just the performance side of things, but you also have another side of your business. Can you tell us a little bit more about that with coaching and how you translate your entrepreneurial mind into your business?
Yeah. I took film acting for almost a year, I want to say, with a studio in Toronto, Milne Studio, and they're awesome. And Brad Milne, the owner of the studio, he was like, why don't you come and coach for me? Because after that time, he was like, I know you know what you're doing. And I mean, like, part of that was like that I just really understood and vibed with his teaching style. So I was like, okay, I guess I've got to figure out how I'm going to teach this as well. But I also have always kind of in the back of my mind been like, I wonder what it would be like to coach. And at first, when I was more into singing, I was like, oh, I mean, I'm not good at piano. I can't make my brain do that thing. So I don't know if I
would teach voice, but I'd have to learn all these scales and warm-ups, and I just can't do that.
Yeah, I was like, put an instrument that's not my voice in the mix, and that won't work. So when voiceover was a thing, I was like, yeah, and especially with the tech side of things, like, I developed this boot camp, and it took me like 6 months, but I developed this boot camp to, like, talk about, okay, so you know nothing. Imagine, like, wherever you are, whether you've come from film acting or theater acting, you don't know the tech side of voiceover. Let's talk about that. Let's build those foundations. So there's exercises to start you on that, right? Yeah. And then from that, you get the assignment back and you talk about, okay, so here are the problem areas. If you were building your dream booth, here's each thing. Go and research what this is. Here's the terminology. Find it, put it, slot it in, and we'll talk about what this makes, right? Like, and then, like, we would go over, like, commercial and animation scripts. Of course, you go over the basics of that, and then I like to talk a lot about environment in the booth, which, like, voice actors are very different from film and theater actors in the sense that we don't get a person to play off of, and we don't get a set around us. We have to imagine it all from this little box that we're in, which, like, literally, there's nothing else, right? We just have
Yeah.
to imagine it. So a big part of my script work when I'm working on a character is taking it and going, okay, I'm going to close my eyes and I'm literally going to think about everything that's around me. What is happening? Like, imagine I'm in a desert. Like, is that like, what do they call it? A
Yes.
tumbleweed rolling along? Like, what's the music? Like, is it hot? Like, what's the color? Like, so you think about all of these things, and I like to coach that because I think it really helps to bring something genuine out of people.
Yeah.
They might not think about. Yeah.
Oh, Aiden, fuck yeah, I love that, and that's I do I do something similar where you gotta have it not only to make it like a good read, but it's also more fun, and that's something that like the first class I took was with Andy Roth in New York City, and he's a casting director there, and he just made it super accessible, and he said, guys, this is fun,
Yeah.
let it be fun, and I have to remind myself when I feel like it's like I suck or like I'm not doing enough or like that it's high stakes because I saw how much the spot would pay, you know, and instead of focusing on all of those things or making sure it's technically sound, it's like, I know what I'm doing. And once I like analyze the script, what if I just have fun? What if it's just fun and we just play pretend?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. Anybody listening, that of course go out and listen to other people's perspectives on things,
Yeah.
but I highly recommend listening to Aiden's. It's because it's acting. It is acting first and foremost, and all of those things that you just spoke on are exactly it. It's building the scene.
Yeah.
That's so fun.
Yeah, I
And
love it
so-
so much.
And I love that you have the technical side of things and educating people on that, and that you also just said, yeah, I'm going to make a course. I'm going to build this curriculum. And that's something that people asked me to do for like at the beginning of shutdown for COVID, was put together an intro to voiceover course. I'm like, I've been doing this for 2 years. And they're like, still doesn't have to mean that like you are the end all be all, but like helping people get started, because you've gotten started and make enough money to pay your bills doing it. So it's valuable information. And there are some loud voices out in the community too who are like, oh, everybody's a freaking coach now. It's like, well, it's not the case, but there are lots of different perspectives that are valuable that need to be heard for different levels of people.
Yeah,
And-
and depending on where you are too, right? Like, because I found that the way things, and that's part of the reason I wanted to talk about ACTRA today, but I found the way things are in different areas is so vastly different. Like, I was communicating with someone on Twitter the other day who was like, slate in character or don't? And I was like, I've always been told to do it. And they were like, really? That's so weird. And we were both from Canada, but they were like, oh, I took a session with someone in LA and they said never slate in character. It's just, and so everyone has just
it's
completely
all
opposing
different.
views.
And that's, you have to go out and you gotta just take class with different people. You gotta ask other actors what their experience is, and also do what feels right. Like, you're never gonna make everybody happy. So like, set the story, know what you're doing, visualize everything, physicalize it if you have the space to, and just have fun and do like not anything like that's not in the direction, but like just send it. It should be fun. And it's and if somebody gets like so pissed off that you did something that is one of their big no-nos, and they tell you, then just remember not to do it for them. Doesn't mean you can't do it somewhere else.
Yeah, everyone has a preference. You just have to learn them. Like,
Yeah. And it's okay to forget. You'll make mistakes. It's okay. People are people at the end of the day.
yeah, that's one of my big things is like, if like for coaching, I'm like, I've made so many mistakes. I'm just like, let me just help you not make some. Like, but you're gonna make your own. Like,
Yeah, it's all coming from a place of like what I wish I would have known.
Yeah.
When I was in their spot, when I was first starting out. And it's going to change as I continue to grow and as the industry changes, right?
Yeah.
It's having that humility to be like, I am not the top of the mountain here. So like,
No.
but I can help you like along the path that I wish I would have taken that would have maybe been a little bit easier.
Exactly.
And yeah, and there's room for everybody.
There's always, no matter what kind of voice you have, there is always room.
Yeah. So Aiden, what do you have that is coming up, and where can people find you? What do you have that's exciting you right now?
I think
Does not have to be a booking. It can be
no.
that is, it can be anything outside of voiceover, inside voiceover, whatever.
Yeah. I have two, if that's okay.
Yes.
My one thing is that I've had an agent kind of like on my radar for a few years, and something negative happened with my current agency, and I was like, okay, like I guess it's time to move on. Like something, didn't have to do with me or necessarily them. It was just like, okay, it's
It's
time to
time.
move on. And an old agent of mine helped me get in contact with this agent that had been on my list, and I'm on their roster now. So
Yes!
yay!
Congratulations!
Thank you. And my other happy thing that I'm excited about is I started an accountability group after going to VO North in September. And we finally had our first meeting, and I'm excited to see what that brings, because I've never had an accountability group, and I don't know if I'm doing it right, but I'm excited to do it.
Yeah, well, hopefully it brings a little bit of accountability.
Yeah, exactly.
That is
Yeah.
so sweet. So what is that an open group for people to join, or is it kind of like you have it's just like a trial of like closed group of X amount of people right now?
Well, right now it's just people from VO North that I invited that I met, but yeah, I would say that it's open. I mean, I'm in charge of it. I started it, so I would say that it's open because I want people to come and to want to engage, and yeah, I think that's really important that people have a space where they can feel like they can come and and like we have a buddy system that I started. I don't know if it's gonna work, but we're doing like a monthly goal together, but a weekly goal, you can sign up and be like, hey, I want a buddy, and then you have someone that you can have a little meeting with, and like just be like, okay, so this is our goal for this week, let's meet up later and talk about it, you know.
That is really sweet, and I'm so happy. The great example of just kind of seeing a need and filling it, creating something that is custom tailored to you and what your community needs
Yeah.
to and building community within that.
Yeah, I
That
mean,
is
I want to
awesome.
be friends with lots of people, and that's one of the ways to do it, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. And where can people find out and like keep up to date with what you're doing and find out more about the accountability group or anything else you have going on?
Well, you can email me at Aiden Dawn at aboutthevoice.biz. If you'd like to know about the accountability group, you can connect with me on LinkedIn, and my website is aboutthevoice.biz.
Amazing. I'll link all of that in the episode description too, so it's easy for people to find you. And I can't believe it's already been 32 minutes. These like
Whoa.
freaking fly when you're having fun with your friends from the north.
Yay.
Before I cut you loose, I do have a couple quick fire questions for you,
Okay.
if you don't mind.
Yeah, I'll try my best.
Quick and easy, low stakes. First question is, what is a nickname that you had as a kid?
Oh no. um, uh, it was to be a joke, but AIDS. Because my name's Aiden. They were like, "That. What's the worst nickname we can give you? Like, what's the name? Like, not to be mean, but just to be like, there's no good nickname for the name Aiden. Like, you know." And I was like,
So
okay.
AIDS it was.
So AIDS it was.
Okay, I love it. Sure.
Yeah, great, thanks. Yeah. They were good people, I swear. Oh. Okay, next question.
Next question. Who inspires you right now?
Rhiannon Mushel. She's I think she's London based, but she is a voice actress from Australia. She's fantastic, super versatile. And I connected with her pretty early on LinkedIn, and I'm connected with her on Twitter, and I'm just like, I love seeing what she does, and she just inspires me. She's pretty awesome.
Love it.
Yeah.
What's a piece of content that you can't get enough of? It can be an album, can be a Pinterest feed, TV show, book, whatever you'd like.
Two things. Sarah Kingsley, you can find her on Spotify. She is an Asian singer and producer, and she's fucking amazing.
Okay.
The way she works with her voice, amazing. And I also am obsessed with Genshin Impact. That's all.
Great. Love it.
Cast me.
Last question is, you can only have pizza one more time. Where from and what's on it? And also, if you have any food allergies, they are gone in this hypothetical situation.
Easy. I'm lactose intolerant, so goat cheese, pesto,
Oof.
sun-dried tomatoes, green olives, and Greek dressing On
Ooh,
naan
just
bread.
a whole ass Mediterranean pizza.
Yes.
That sounds amazing.
It's so good.
Killer. Well,
Yep.
Aiden, thank you again for taking the time to do this and to reach out to be a part of this. This is like
Yeah.
one of the reasons why I wanted to open this up to everybody is to meet other lovely people in the industry and
Yeah, thank
make
you
some
so
new
much for
friends
having
along
me.
the way. Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, I'll post all your info in the description so everybody knows where to find you. And hopefully I'll be talking to you again soon.
Yeah, thank you so much. And yeah,
Yeah.
hopefully. All right,
Have a great rest of your week.
day.
Thanks. And just like that, another episode is over. Ugh. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Second Cup with my friend Aiden Dawn. If you want to keep up with everything that she has going on, you can visit her website, aboutthevoice.biz. And if you want to follow her on social media and other platforms, you can click the Linktree link in the description of this episode and follow her everywhere. She's got a lot of wonderful things going on you don't want to miss out. If you've enjoyed this or other episodes of Second Cup, it would mean the world to me and the rest of the Second Cup family if you leave a review, like, rate, subscribe, share, whatever you can on any platform, including YouTube. We are really looking to take this show to new levels this year, and every little bit helps. Thank you to the Second Cup family, Arai Productions in New York City, Alberth Bursey and Sarang Sharma, and my producer, Julius Shepard Morgan. Tune in next time for another amazing conversation with somebody really cool. Arrivederci, or as we say in Texas, bye.